NFL carousel and the start of a week that could change everything. We'll tell you exactly what's going to happen. Then, is it time to play Let's Make a Deal for Baker and the Browns? It's a huge decision, and it's not as easy as you think. Plus, it was the dunk that broke the internet. Where does this sensational slam stack up with the best you've ever seen? Answers to those and other questions as we get up with you starting right now on a Monday from New York. I am Greeny and delighted you've chosen to get up with us. Hope you had a great weekend. We're here to talk and we are ready to roll. Take a look at the squad we have ready this morning. Timmy Legler will join us shortly. Kimberly Martin has gotten up early with us this morning. She has the insight. Tim Hasselbeck is going to fling it around, and Mike Tannenbaum is here wheeling and dealing as we go through another week on the quarterback carousel, which has already been busy during this NFL offseason. You know where it started with the Rams acquiring Matthew Stafford from the Lions for Jared Goff, 2 first-round picks, and a 3rd rounder. That was the huge deal there. Goff, the first overall pick in 2016, signed a 4-year extension worth $134 million before the 2019 season. Carson Wentz was picked 1 spot after Goff. Last week he was traded to the Colts for a 3rd-round pick this year and a conditional 2 the following year. So it has already been fascinating. But my friends, it is only just beginning. So we have asked everyone on the show today to predict what will be the biggest quarterback headline from this week. And Tim, I'm starting with you. What will be this week's big quarterback story?
Well, how about Marcus Mariota to the New England Patriots? Look, the Patriots love to be value shoppers. Marcus Mariota played really well last year in relief. He's due just $10.5 million, which means he could easily be paired with a young quarterback. And I think it's just his ability as a runner, but also as a passer. I think it would actually be a great fit in New England and makes a lot of sense. There's clearly interest in him around the league.
Yes, I like that call a lot. I want to come back to it because he's a person I think we don't talk nearly enough about. But Kimberly, let me come next to you. What will be the big story this week?
It's not sexy, but it needs to happen. Big Ben restructures his deal with the Steelers. Look, this is a situation where financially, none of the options are really great for the Steelers. If he retires, you cut him. He still counts a ton on the cap. If you sign him, it's still going to be a lot of money. So these two sides need to make it work because I don't know who else is going to be the QB for the Steelers.
Could be a huge sigh of relief by the end of the week in Pittsburgh from a lot of the fans then if that era continues. Meanwhile, speaking of eras that may end, Mike T., what's yours?
Drew Brees officially retires, Greeny. He's already tweaked his contract, which is going to set up some cap relief. But come on, Drew, let's announce it. Everyone knows that it's coming. Let's make it official. And soon thereafter, we have to announce that Jameis Winston will be the starter in the Saints. So Brees retires, Jameis comes on board as the starter.
Kimberly, let me come back to you quickly on that as my insider today. What do we know about the workings down there in New Orleans?
Like Mike said, it's not a matter of if Brees retires. It's just a matter of when he does make the announcement. This is what everybody expected to happen. The question is, we think it's in the next week or 2. He's lowered his salary for the year, another domino that would indicate he's close to retiring. So like Mike said, we're just all waiting for the official announcement.
Now, that really is the end of an era. Then the question is, are they ready to go with Jameis Winston as their quarterback? They certainly talk like they are now. We will find out one way or the other. So those are the things we might wind up seeing as this week continues. To last week's huge story, which continues to reverberate around the NFL, and that, of course, is Carson Wentz, who arrives in Indianapolis over the weekend to begin the second chapter of his career playing for his former offensive coordinator in Frank Reich. Wentz published a lengthy post on his Instagram account over the weekend, which read, in part, "What a journey. To the city of Philadelphia, thank you. On the field, we brought the Lombardi Trophy home to Philly and hopefully brought a lot of joy to the city over the years. Thank you to the Eagles organization for drafting me and making my NFL dream come true." That is notable for a variety of reasons. Among them, we hadn't heard from Carson Wentz in a very, very long time. So, Tim Hasselbeck, haven't had a chance to talk to you since the deal. Let's first guess this. A lot of people wondering, can Frank Reich unlock Carson? Can he become the MVP candidate that he was once upon a time? Is that what's going to happen this season?
I don't think he becomes the MVP candidate, but can he unlock him and get him to play good football again? Absolutely. And the reason I say not an MVP candidate, Greeny, is if they try to kind of put this on Carson Wentz's back, then they're doing it wrong. The team is already built as a good team. They've got one of the best defenses in football. They've got a good runner, and they've got an excellent offensive line. It should really be about, Carson kind of being the last piece to this, where, he's going to a good team. This was the perfect spot for him to go and play well, but that doesn't mean he has to be the guy carrying it all, because what's been built around him by Chris Ballard and that Colts organization is really, really good already.
So, Mike T., let me then come to you. What is your expectation for him, particularly relative to the new surroundings? He's in a new division, a whole new start. What do you see?
Yeah, I think this is a little bit different than Tim. I think there's some desperation here. I think they negotiated against themselves, giving up 2 really high picks. And when you look at it, Greeny, in my opinion, they have the 4th best quarterback in the division. Ryan Tannehill has led Tennessee to the #1 offense since he's been there. I'm assuming Deshaun Watson's still a Texan. I know there's a lot there. And Trevor Lawrence is going to be a better quarterback than Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz struggled with confidence. He struggled with turnovers. And while I think he may be a little bit better than Luck, long term, I don't see this as a big improvement for the Colts.
Well, that's a really interesting one, and I will give you credit, Tannenbaum, because you were the one last year around this time who said the Steelers could wind up with the worst quarterback situation in their division. Everybody laughed at you, and no one is laughing so much right now. So, Hasselbeck, I'll give you the first shot to laugh at this if you want to. Do you see Wentz right now as being the 4th best quarterback in that division?
No, and look, listen, I'd argue that Ben Roethlisberger was not the worst quarterback in that division last year. Joe Burrow would have been. When you look at the year Ben had, didn't end the way it wanted, but I think it was like 33 touchdowns and 10 picks. There's a lot of guys that would have taken that. Look, I look at that division. I understand what Mike's saying. That might be the case in 4 years, but when you look at it for this upcoming season, Trevor Lawrence in the first year in Jacksonville with that supporting cast versus Wentz in Indy with that supporting cast, no, I would take Wentz in that situation. In terms of Houston, listen, who knows what their situation's going to be? They may have a quarterback that refuses to show up. So, and again, I'll bring it back. It's not all about Wentz. Like in terms of teams, let's look at teams and how they're built. It's probably the best roster when you look at both sides of the ball in Indianapolis. So it's not about just which quarterback is better. It's the quarterback, supported by the team. It's still a dependent position.
And Kimberly, let me come to you here, because I'm sure you talked to a lot of people over the weekend as people settled in with this deal that we knew was coming and finally got made. What is the overall reaction to the way this went down, Wentz to Indianapolis?
I think this is what everybody expected. This is a perfect situation for Carson Wentz. The key here is there will be an enormous amount of pressure on him. Like Matt's saying, Indy shouldn't make him do everything, but if you're Carson Wentz and you saw how things went down in Philly, your locker room presence was questioned, your play was questioned, whether you're a team leader was questioned, you're going to want to come into Indy and solidify yourself as the guy. Now, he's got Frank Reich. Is Frank Reich the key? Hopefully for Carson Wentz, it works out. Because if it doesn't work in Indy, a team that has a defense, a running game, all these pieces, and is just a quarterback away, if it doesn't work in Indy, I don't know where it works for Carson Wentz.
No, I completely agree. And we made the point last week here, and I said it on the radio. There is no player in the NFL who will be under more pressure next season than Carson Wentz. Historically, that's not been a good role for him. It doesn't mean that he can't do it. All right, Kimberly, let's run through the hurry up here. A bunch of other things, including we offer our congratulations to Patrick Mahomes. Why is that?
Well, Patrick Mahomes and his fiancée, Brittany Matthews, welcomed their baby daughter, Sterling Sky. She was born yesterday. So congratulations to Patrick Mahomes, the Chiefs quarterback, who is officially a girl dad. He joked during the Super Bowl that he wanted the baby to hold off a little bit until after the game. Well, she has done that.
Next up.
Moving on to Lamar Jackson. Now, is a contract extension on the horizon for Lamar? We think so. I've checked in, and both sides have talked, but I'm told that the talks weren't anything substantive. But that doesn't mean that Lamar and the Ravens won't sit down and discuss a contract extension this season. Eric DeCosta, the GM, has already said we want to keep Lamar in Baltimore for a very, very long time.